Welcome back. Let's take this report from the Senate on the plan to ban the importation of cars into the country.
Assembly moved and seconded.
It's a day after a major shake-up in the Senate leadership. However, federal lawmakers are setting aside political squabbles and attending to legislative work. A federal lawmaker, Senator Jibrin Barau, drew the attention of the Senate to the recent federal government policy banning the importation of vehicles into the country through land borders with effect from January 1st this year. He argues that it is not economically expedient to ban the importation of vehicles through the country's borders, as a policy would lead to the loss of nearly 500,000 jobs by people who import vehicles.
Believes that the economy of border villages and towns that depends on the activities of vehicles importation shall be adversely affected to the detriment of all.
Lawmakers who spoke shared the same position.
I think they should identify what is the reason or what are the reasons why the importers find it very easy in coming through the land borders. And I feel one of those things is the tariff. If the government will also reduce their own tariff to ensure that they encourage people that are importing through the seaport, I think that one will go a long way in even forcing the land border, at least the importation through the land border to be reduced.
This is one country out of so many that had decided on its own to strangulate a large section of its populace that lives within the land borders, and also strangulate businesses that has provided jobs for hundreds of thousands and millions of Nigerians.
After the debate, the Senate is asking the Nigerian Customs Service to suspend with immediate effect the policy of an outright ban on the importation of vehicles through land borders. The Senate is also asking its Committee on Customs to investigate the circumstances which prompted the federal government to put together this policy.
Now let's take you through some other motions and resolutions reached by the lawmakers in the course of the week.
During the week, the House of Representatives has ordered its Joint Committee on Delegated Legislations and Public Accounts to carry out a public hearing of the activities of the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria. The FRC had introduced the Corporate Governance Code, which led to the stepping aside of the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christians Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, as the aftermath of a new regulation that pegged the leadership tenure at 20 years. The House took the decisions after considering a motion sponsored by Minority Leader Representative Leo Ogo, who described the Council's action as unconstitutional.
It is important we correct one very, very wrong impression out there in the public, that the National Assembly enacted a law that sets tenure for non-profit organization. I stand to be corrected that there is no enactment of that nature coming from the National Assembly. There is no law that was enacted by the National Assembly that set tenure for non-organizations or non-government organizations or non-profit organizations. So it is important that the public, please, should not be misinformed that there was an enactment from the National Assembly in respect of this particular issue.
The House has asked the Council to suspend the code, while the panel investigating its activities is expected to submit a report within 4 weeks. In another motion, the House also considered a motion on the need to check the abuse of personnel of the Nigerian Armed Forces and other security outfits by civilians. The motion, which was sponsored by Rep. Kingsley Chinda, who drew attention to the use of these security personnel to assault and harass members of the public.
The House notes with concern the indiscriminate use of men of the armed forces, the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Navy, and the Nigerian Air Force, as bodyguards to civilians who are ordinarily not entitled to such privileges. The House also notes that though the problem cuts across virtually all sectors of the polity, it is more common amongst politicians, political and ex-political office holders, and businessmen. The House further notes that the most commonly abused of these security personnel are the mobile police force, soldiers, and in some cases, men of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. The House is concerned that on several occasions, these armed security personnel, acting as bodyguards to civilians, have brutally assaulted, harassed, and in some cases, whipped, gumbooted, and severely beaten and manhandled innocent civilians who are left at the mercy of the personnel. The House is also concerned that the above trend, if left unchecked, could lead to anarchy and in turn negatively affect the society by causing despondency in the minds of the people. The House is further concerned that these acts have lowered the image and reputation of the armed forces of Nigeria and indeed compromised our national security. The House is called upon to resolve as follows. 1. To condemn the indiscriminate use and or abuse of personnel of the armed forces and other security outfits by civilians and urge the heads of these establishments to immediately withdraw these personnel attached to civilians. And 2. Mandate the committees on Army, Air Force, Navy, Police, and Interior to investigate the abuse and report back to the House within 4 weeks for further legislative action.
The House has approved a motion seeking to compel the Inspector General of Police to appear before the House Committee on Police Affairs. The police boss, it is said, repeatedly failed to appear before the committee over several violations committed by the police force during the implementation of the 2016 budget.
My motion is on the refusal and deliberate failure of the Inspector General of Police to honor the invitation of the Committee on Police Affairs over the violation of the 2016 Appropriation Act, the Fiscal Co-Responsibility Act, and Public Procurement Act. The House knows that the sum of 1.2 billion naira was approved in the Appropriation Act of 2016 for the purchase of 10 numbers of armored personnel carriers by the Nigerian Police Force. But the amount was diverted for the purchase of 64 Toyota Hiace commuter vehicles without the approval of the National Assembly. The House also knows that the sum of 6 billion naira was appropriated in the same act for the rehabilitation and reconstruction of 102 police stations nationwide, but the amount was also diverted for other uses without the approval of the National Assembly. The House is concerned that these infractions of the Appropriation Act 2016, the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007, and the Public Procurement Act 2007 are just two of the several infractions committed by the Nigerian Police Force in the course of the implementation of the 2016 Appropriation Act. The House records that the Committee on Police Affairs invited the Inspector General of Police on 6th of December 2016 and 13th of December 2016 in his capacity as the Chief Executive and Accounting Officer of the force to explain or justify these perceived infractions, but he failed or refused to honor the invitation or justify the failure or refusal to attend to such invitations. The House is therefore invited to resolve as follows. 1. Condemn in the stronger terms the failure or refusal of the Inspector General of Police to honor the invitations of the Committee on Police Affairs. 2. Summon the Inspector General of Police to appear before the committee unfailingly by 2 p.m. on Thursday, the 19th day of January 2017, at Conference Room 023, New Wing, House of Representatives, National Assembly Complex.
The House has passed a resolution summoning the police boss to appear unfailingly before the committee or face the possibility of a bench warrant being executed to compel his appearance.
Well, it appears the lawmakers tackled a lot this week, and you will agree with me that some of the issues tackled here are really interesting. Well, I can't say for you, but I am looking forward to the report of the ad hoc committee that will be looking into the matter of security personnel assaulting members of the public. Also, the summons to the Inspector General of Police. If he doesn't turn up for any reason, who will compel his appearance? Well, that's just me thinking out loud. But you can send us your own thought on these developments. I will be looking forward to them. Let me thank you for staying with me on the Gavel. I am Lanre Lasese. Take care.